Also, no, I was wrong. Einen Klee zu fälschen ist nicht schwer. I was very impressed of Paul Klee. And I said, to fake a Paul Klee is not difficult. That was the title. I thought, to fake a Paul Klee, and I had so fun because a Paul Klee is so simple what he did. Everybody can fake that. And I was not interested, but a while I had really fun to do things like that. But it was not my style. I was more from the beginning, these are really old ones.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's old ones. There's a bunch of the early ones of that also. These ones, I think this was influenced by Hans Prätterhoffer. He had been a very strong drawer. Unfortunately, he died meanwhile also 10 years ago or more. He was a very strong drawer by music and drawing, and in a while I tried that if this would work in that. There is some nice ones. This is a nice one. I think this is a nice one. This has a very, very structure like a city with skyscrapers. They be bent, curved. A skyscraper city, they have been like, you make a photograph and you warp them. Or the wind blows in a city with skyscraper and they get all warped. And this is a very reduced, probably this like wendy like that. Yeah. So there is a ton of that. That was a lot with music painting and structure, and I tried to. That was 84, 20. It's nearly, yeah, that's 40 years old. That's 40 years old. Okay, 40 years ago, and painter tries to find out his own handwriting. And to find it out, you have to test a lot. You have to go and start and have to does this work, does this work? There's a lot of stuff what you have to go through till you learn how is all the techniques and the handwriting possible. Yeah, I could fill a museum completely alone. It's no problem. That's also an old one. 86. Galtbrunn. That was anywhere on the country. Galtbrunn, where I did that. Probably my father, I think, rented once a house on the country, 86. And I think that was an old farmhouse, and it was for some years. And I came there and put their huge plastic on the floor and stayed there a week in Christmas time and painted. Because at this time, it was very important to come forward with the I want to find my own handwriting. I had to test this and that and a different style. And this must be later, definitely, because there was a step forward. 87. This is 3 years later. There I tried different things, and there came this kind of typical forms and structure. What is still all the time what goes through. Like this is in hand or so. This was there. Or here, this is something you see. There is a kind of figure inside with two arms, the body, maybe the head, something like that, and there's more parts of figurative stories. And this had been before I got my graphic design education. As a child, I had this kind of handwriting, of this style of painting, and then you forget it and lose it, and then that's a nice one. Reminds me to Hans Prätterhoffer. It was a very nice, helpful, very nice artist, and he unfortunately died early. This one I don't know, that is in the middle of that. Has it a title? No, I don't think so. Is it a title? No, it's the little yellow tiger. Whatever. Many things I don't know anymore. This is Michael Gruber, the sculpture friend. He was the one, by the way. When I was making these drawings here, there was a big table between the windows. There was a big table, and I was sitting on the table, and I had been drawing every day because I loved it, and made things like that in this style. And one day Michael Gruber, he came, and and he said, and it was an interesting story how the world runs. My first girlfriend, we split up after 2 years, and she had a next boyfriend, and that was him. But we had been all friends together, and I invited them, her and with her next boyfriend, and that was Michael. And then she split up with him, but I kept friendship with him. So we stayed friends, and she moved on, and she had another, I don't know, 5 boyfriends or more, and I kept friendship with all of them over the time. That was funny. And that was, and Michael Gruber came one day here and has seen my drawings and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "It's private, I don't want to do something with that." And he says, No, that's good, you have to make an exhibition. And I said, "No way, I don't want to go in public with this is my very private stuff nobody needs to know that. That's my private things, don't ask me again." And he says, "Okay." He went away. 2 days later he came and said, "Well, I have a friend, he's a painter, he would like to see the artwork." I said, "No." He said, "Oh, he just comes with me for a cup of tea, nothing else. He want only to see it, you can discuss what." I said, "Okay, bring him with you, we can discuss." And then came Hans. Michael brought Hans Prätterhoffer with him. And Hans came and looked around and he says, "You have to make an exhibition, that's good stuff." And I said, "I'm not a painter, I be graphic designer, educated graphic designer. I work as a freelance graphic designer. I was, I don't know, 20 years old or so, and I work as a graphic designer. I have no interest to get a painter. I do that private, not for any public person." And he was so insisting the next 3 months. He came every week twice and said, "You have to make an exhibition." And after 2 months he came and said, "I have organized you an exhibition. There's a gallery for young artists, a starter gallery. I spoke with them. I showed them, I made photographs. I showed them your artwork. You come with me and we go there." And said, "No." It took another month, and then finally I gave up. I said, "Okay." Hans said, "Okay, I go with you there. I show them my photographs of the artwork. We stay there once, and they don't take me." And we went really there, and there was a there was a gallery, and there was nowadays I would say young, at this time they had been older than me, they had been looking at the artwork and said, "Yeah, that's we give you an appointment in 3 months, there is an opening on this." And they looked in the calendar. I said, "Okay." And I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Once in my life I'm doing that, never again, only once an exhibition, never again." And then I framed the pictures and brought them to the exhibition, and that was the evening there. And then when I came to my own opening, there had been people invited before, from newspapers, people they make critic of artists and so. And one of the critics, his name was Pribil, he was from the, I think, bank, from a CA bank, gallery and collection, and he was there an hour before the opening was, and he immediately bought the first painting because he said, "Wow, that's interesting stuff, I buy one." Wow, it was gone. And I came there and they told me, "You have one painting sold." I said, "Somebody buys that?" It was very cheap, but even that somebody likes it and takes that. And I think I sold 5 or 7 paintings on that first evening in the first hour, and I was standing there, people like that, they buy that, they hang it on the wall, my stuff, why? And then other artists came and said, "Oh, you come with me, we make a collective exhibition there, bring your stuff next week." And suddenly I was kicked into the painting story and moved more and more from a freelance graphic designer into a painter. And then it started on. And then I had a long friendship with Hans. We had at least, I think, 3-4 years very intensive work together. We made exhibitions together with other young artists. We had a lot of, it was a nice time. And then I figured out that was difficult. One day I figured out he would so much like that he was 15, 20 years older than me or than other young artists, and he was a very good teacher, but he would like so much to that his students copy his style. That was very important for him. Copy his style, but I could not. I had my own style developed stronger and stronger and stronger. It came out, and then we had exhibitions together, and I had a completely different style like him. And many times the lucky situation was that I sold something and he did not, and he was very depressed or sad about that the young guy here, what he promoted at the beginning, is overrunning him, overruling him or whatever slowly. But it was never from my side. I was never in competition to him. I was always, but this led to a special point. I said 4 years later, I decided, okay, he is very fixed in his character and painting structure, and I be moving on to something else. And I moved on and did my own stuff more and more, and then we kept still as friends, but we had not so much contact anymore. I met other artist friends, and I made more friendship with other artists, and I went here and there, and then I went to a ton of exhibitions on the evening, and I met a ton of people and learned different characters, and so it moved on. Yeah, that was a big, just. It's difficult. I open a drawer, find a painting from someone, and a whole back history pops up and shows things they would be lost otherwise. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a heavy drawer. What is there? That's the same drawing and some paperwork, and that's oil. That's mostly oil. That's a different period. That's the same. That's oil on paper. Yeah, there is so many. Ooh, that's an intensive one. That's a funny whatever animal jumping around story. There is more of that with the black color. It's interesting figures. There's a lot of things like that. That's the same. That was the time when their own handwriting was there. I mean, it was not lost. It was there before I got any education. If I look up children drawings or things like that, they have a similar character, and there is all that figurative parts, these little elements, and that all what is there jumping in. There was a long time was a little sailboat included, and there's a lot of that's all oil paintings. That's a nice one. That's a very thick oil, and there you could scratch in the fluid oil little drawings. Yeah, that's an interesting. And there's a whole face of a figure and another maybe included, and strange things. This is that for a ghost spirit here? This one, it's so thick oil. There's a Ku Klux Klan or whatever figure that is. And that is another one. There's nearly more abstract. There's not so much to see, or maybe far away. I don't know. There's a lot of. What is that? There is somebody. Paul Ukusic. There died somebody, and it was. Okay, there was an people sent me. I kept something what I thought it's interesting. I kept it in the drawer here. So put that back here, and on this side there is a lot of others. This goes on and on and on and on and stuff. There is my God, there's much more. You see, there is a lot of things in different, and that goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And I don't want to see the deepness here. It's so much. Somebody else can open that one day and can look it through. It needs a museum for that.
Yeah.
It could a huge museum. The half Louvre I could fill with that stuff. Definitely, that would be not a problem. It could be tons and tons and tons of production. There is so much active periods. And what is there on the down bottom? On the down bottom there is a wrapping paper. That was mostly invitation cards and cards. People send me Christmas cards. Oh, and this is somebody. What means this? Referat halt. I can't understand it. Somebody is sleeping, in standing and sleeping. No, it is the right thing. It's a bed. It's a pillow, and it's sleeping with that. I think that was Clemens. Referat Studio City. I don't know. That was Clemens. Clemens is a teacher colleague of mine, and he was with another teacher going skiing, and they shared a room, and another teacher told me he sleeps with the dark mask and a little head like that. And I have not seen it, but I did immediately a drawing, did imagine that. And this lady, who can that be only?
Oh, that's Wendy.
That's Wendy, exactly. That's Wendy when we met. That was one of my drawings from her. Wendy, do you hear? I have a drawing found from you. Yes, when I did draw you. And I had a postcard from the Dubliners. The Dubliners, best wishes, whatever. It's a band. That I kept things like that. It's more. I just did not know what to do. I feel, there's a Christmas present what we never opened.
The hallway sink seems to be plugged up.
The hallway is plugged up.
Sink.
The sink in the hallway. Yeah, that is usual. That's no problem. Look, I found a drawing from you.
Yeah, that must have been the prototype for what you drew in my St. Stephen's Cathedral book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That you gave me, I think, like the first time or two that you met me.
Exactly.
Except you were trying to figure out how to draw the bagpipes.
Exactly. I didn't know how to draw the bagpipes, but finally I did something like that. Yeah. And that was the prototype for that, but I kept it.
Yes. Yeah, you did better in the actual
in the
drawing
book.
in the book. I think you got the
in the
bagpipes. I think you managed to get some drawings on the bagpipes.
My God! And there is, what is this? I've never pulled things out like this. Hopefully that's all hopefully empty. Oh my God, that doesn't look empty. We have to look that up. What is that? Postcards from. I was there. Who is that, guys? Do I know them? I recognize myself, but I have no idea who is the rest of the people anymore. I have no idea. I recognize myself, but the rest, somebody must have sent me the photographs. Yeah, I was young, sweetie. Isn't there a song from the Beatles, When You Had Been Young?
Probably.
Oh, look.
Oh, wow.
That's an old stuff. That's in Passepartout framed. That I did know there is even there down stuff. Oh my God. This is a period. This is a period. Interesting. To be all framed. 86. 86. Oopsie daisy. There's a lot of early things. There is a golden rose. The golden rose has to stay here. That's the things. We have to take that careful out. There's more of these bigger ones.
Wow.
Tons of them.
Tons of them.
That's how much you pay.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
Yeah, sweetie, and that is about the half. There's much more. There's so much paperwork more in the country also, and
We need to make an Etsy store so you can sell cards and prints and stuff.
oh yeah, we could make a million out of that.
Yeah, I think you would.
Guys, let me see. Bist du deppert? What is there all in there? I have not moved
Wow.
I have not moved the things probably the last 30 years, not at all. Yeah, this is. I have to, but it's better we move. Where can we move them on the side? Probably anywhere.
Maybe against.
We lean that in the moment here. I think that's the only way. That is. Look, I just look through fast. Yeah, there is. They be all in Passepartout, the things. That's all of that. That's the big ones. What is this? 19 Titel übergeordnete Werke. There is aha, this is it's an early one, abstract one. This is okay. I parked them here careful at the moment because at the end we have to fill that in. I have no other choice at the moment. And there it goes on and on and on. Okay, move them all out.
Wow. So many. Ooh.
Yeah, that's I cut all the Passepartouts myself for that stuff. It was the very reduced ones, but
ooh,
that's interesting.
Where
is upside? Where's the right side? Do I know it? Is there a signature? Probably this is the. I think this is the right one. At least on the back side it is a number, there's a number, that means this is the right one. It looks also intensive. Very dynamic. It's an empty one. No, it was too early lucky.
Yeah, I really like this period.
Yeah. It's very intensive. These ones. Yeah, but there is ton of that similar character. This is the portraits that I made. There was a whole series of a whole period of just these portraits. That is a kind of portrait. This is all portrait mouse and big portraits. And there is a book where an Austrian painter, she's called Linde Waber, she made a book about visiting other artists in their studio, and when she just came, I was in this portrait period. And she came here in the studio and was sitting and drawing, and there's a nice drawings from her when I was in that period of that style. There is more of that stuff. And there is always more of that stuff, since we know since the last week. We find too much. I have no idea where is the right up and down. Probably this way, I would say. Yeah, I think this is the right. This is not so typical, or I don't know. This is just on the experimental way. And this is. It has a signature, but I think it's under the Passepartout. It is all with a signature. Must be on this side. This is the right side, I think. Or it is signed on the back side, probably. Okay. So, if we want to move the box, we have to make that